Stupid and lousy in bed.
Nobody will love me that much.
Help me get him out of the car. He's starting to stiffen up.
That's more than you ever did for me.
How about bits of string? You accepted bits of string? No? Oh, howdy folks! Welcome to the Spaghetti Theater Review. Remember the early 90s anthology series Tales from the Crypt? The one hosted by that creepy ass skeleton who talked in puns and had that evil little skeleton laugh. Remember? As I said in my last review, Tales from the Crypt was pretty much the 90s answer to the Twilight Zone or even Alfred Hitchcock Presents. And it could be just as cool as any of those when it wanted to be. I remember a lot of them fondly. Mostly I remember that skeleton hosting the show, like some sort of afterlife Rod Serling, who couldn't stop quipping to the point where it was almost annoying. And although his personality was playful with a dark sense of humor, and his frail, undead body was no real threat to anybody, he did have a creepy ass look and feel about him. So when I think of favorite episodes of this series, a few pop into my head. Yeah, but the first one I always remember is the one I'm going to talk about now. Season 6's season finale, episode 15. You, Murderer. It stars Humphrey Bogart, John Lithgow, Isabella Rossellini. Hey, wait a minute. Humphrey Bogart? The guy from Casablanca, Maltese Falcon, The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, and Dark Passage, to name a few. How can that be? Actor Humphrey Bogart died way back in 1957 from smoking like a dang chimney.
What geese taste bad? Peanut fresh and smooth. Lucky strike. What? Nothing, no nothing beats better taste.
That's right, I'm dead.
So how can he be here now? Nearly 40 years after his death and starring in a 1995 episode of Tales from the Crypt, with the dad from Harry and the Hendersons and the daughter of his co-star from Casablanca, cause Ingrid Bergman, well, she's been dead since 1982. Well, I'll tell you how, folks, through the power of the early days of CGI. That's right, just like in those dumb Coke ads. Remember that shit? So you have to remember, it's January 1995. Forrest Gump is still playing in theaters, and not far away from being awarded 1994's Best Picture Award. Yeah, remember Forrest Gump and how fresh, cool, and new all those CGI effects were when the movie first came out? Forrest Gump getting decorated by all the presidents, and even being a guest on the Dick Cavett show, all achieved through the power of early 90s CGI. And I remember it was really cool too, then. Even though now, almost 30 years later, some of it's a bit dated, yes. However, then it was all the hype, and people just wanted to see more of CGI-ing dead celebrities back to life. And no, a lot of it didn't age well. As some might say with this episode of Tales from the Crypt, where the director responsible for Forrest Gump steps in to direct this episode and use his superior CGI powers to bring Humphrey Bogart back to life. The Back to the Future man himself, Robert Zemeckis, should have just used a DeLorean to travel back in time to the 40s and just kidnap the real guy. Yep, be that simple. Right, Robert Zemeckis? Yep. Why don't we just do that instead? How about we just get in? I said get in. Nah, I'm just kidding. Getting Robert Zemeckis to direct is not that big of a deal, since he'd already directed 2 other episodes and was a producer on the show for a while. But now he's back to exploit his success with Forrest Gump and the power of CGI. So fuck you, Back to the Future. Oh! Some of which, as I've pointed out, has aged so badly that it makes that Peter Cushing shit look like cinematic gold. Thank God the real and still alive John Lithgow is here to hold it all together with his real face and actual presence. Still, I don't want to dump on it too much because I do still love this episode. And back then, these dated CGI effects looked awesome. Sorta, I guess. It was new. Accept it for what it is. Shithead. Plus, this is a TV series that aired on HBO. Perhaps the smaller TV budget took away from the quality that, say, Forrest Gump had. So here it is, folks. It's the middle of the night, and we're only a month into 1995. So let's watch Tales from the Crypt Season 6 finale, shall we? It's You, Murderer, starring Humphrey Bogart. Why the hell not? I'm sure his living family members at the time signed a waiver or something after getting handed a suitcase filled with cash. So crack, it's not TV, it's HBO. Ah, the memories of 1990s HBO, when there was still just one of them, with original movies like The Tuskegee Airmen, Always Outnumbered, Gia, Mr. Show, Dennis Miller, Red Shoes Diary, and this cool ass shit, Tales from the Crypt, with that memorable opening as the camera does that point of view shot thing and goes right inside this creepy old haunted mansion. Then behind this bookcase and down into the crypt to meet up with the remains of the man himself, the Crypt Keeper, folks. Damn it, Bones, you're a terrifying son of a bitch. So here we are, inside the crypt itself, as we waste no time exploiting the director's most recent success with this Forrest Gump reference. Now the feather in the movie was actually CGI, but I don't think this one is. Actually looks real. Perhaps. I don't think, yeah, it's real. As we see that even the Crypt Keeper has hopped onto the Forrest Gump exploitation bandwagon, because he's dressed up as him and sitting on a bench holding a box of chocolates and calling himself Forrest Gump.
I'm Forrest Gump.
Oh, how cute. With, oh my god, it's Alfred Hitchcock. Clearly CGI'd next to the Crypt Keeper. It makes sense since he's dead, I guess, and he doesn't seem to care.
Care for a chocolate?
Come on, Hitchcock. Chocolates taste even better when you're dead, you womanizing chocoholic, you. And then, hey, there are people down here acting as extras in this little Forrest Gump parody that the Crypt Keeper's putting on. They're just allowed down here? Does the Crypt Keeper pay them? They don't mind working for an undead skeleton guy who's creepy as all hell? Now, did they have to come in through the front door and go behind the bookcase and go all the way down those stairs from the opening titles? Or is there a back entrance for employees? I'm thinking too much into this. So let's move on as the episode begins, and yep, credits the guy who's been dead for almost 40 years first. Way to go, Bogey! How many actors can make that claim? I wonder how Lauren Bacall felt about all this. Anyway, it all starts off being narrated to us by someone doing an imitation of legendary actor Humphrey Bogart.
They say when you die, that you're supposed to see this intense white light.
As we are treated to our first CGI shot of an ironically already dead Bogey.
That's right, I'm dead.
Who turns out to be a guy who just looks like a badly CGI'd Humphrey Bogart, but not actually Humphrey Bogart. He's a doppelganger named Lou Spinelli, some sort of ad agency executive, who goes on to tell us how he became a dead Humphrey Bogart, staring back at us in this car's side mirror. That's such a popular job, by the way, I've noticed. In movies and TV, ad agency executive. Just weird, thought I'd point it out. So as we flash back, we get another look at this CGI'd Humphrey Bogart, who's now just a quick reflection in a window. Cause I'm sure even they realized how not so believable this technology still was. And as you can see in this window reflection, they had to colorize him a lot, which makes it look even more fake. But they did their best. I guess. I wasn't there. I'm not judging anyone. Damn it, Zemeckis, what were you thinking with this shit? It looks stupid. It looks like a fucking cartoon, dumbass. I'm kidding. I love Bob Zemeckis. We're buddies, right? Back to the story. It's not actually that bad considering it is 1995 here. That's when we see that this entire episode is going to be filmed from the point of view of the Humphrey Bogart guy. A smart move to avoid having to constantly show a bad CGI'd Humphrey Bogart. And it's also a nod to the film Dark Passage at the same time. A lot of the episode reflects the movie Dark Passage. First, with that point of view style of directing, which is how the first half of Dark Passage was filmed. So we catch this Bogart lookalike ad agency executive guy right in the middle of some kind of board meeting, where we get to meet this pretty lady, a co-worker of his named Erica. And this lady here you may recognize. She's an actress named Sherilyn Fenn. She's best known for playing Audrey Horne on Twin Peaks. But I will mostly remember her as the lady that John Malkovich petted to death by accident in Of Mice and Men. God bless his soul, he will tend to rabbits forever now in heaven. Sad, dark movie. But remember, this guy's not actually Bogart though. Want to make that point clear. He just looks like him. But what's weird is he also happens to sound a lot like him and act a hell of a lot like him too.
You, doll, have come up with a campaign that's going to save this company.
Weird. No explanation there. But he's really a guy named Lou Spinelli. So he ogles the hell out of this lady Erica as she puts on a presentation for a new ad campaign that exploits the hell out of the popular Casablanca movie line, "Here's looking at you, kid," a little too much.
Here's looking at you, kid.
Now, is the joke supposed to be it's because he looks like Bogart? I don't think it is, though.
What was that slogan again?
Here's looking at you, kid.
I like it, Erica. It's got a familiar ring to it.
It's kind of confusing because later in the episode they mentioned that he looks like Bogart now.
Yeah, it made me look like Bogart.
Meaning that the actor Humphrey Bogart does exist in this universe. Or did. Yet, they don't seem to know that line is from Casablanca.
Here's looking at you, kid.
I like it, Erica. It's got a familiar ring to it.
Is it Casablanca or Casablanca? I don't know. I'm gonna say both occasionally. Get used to it, if I have to say it again. So then the presentation is interrupted when Bogey's secretary busts in with a phone call from some guy named Oscar, not the Grouch. Entirely different show. Bogey then quickly takes the call only to find out it's not Oscar at all. It's his wife, Betty, and boy is she ever pissed. And snap, another CGI shot of Bogart. This one in the mirror and, yeah, he just looks like a cartoon. It's weird, even kind of eerie. It's like he's not even really there. Cringy as all hell. So back to the phone with his wife, as she goes on about how Oscar had his thugs try to kill her, and she's blaming him for all that shit, and is now threatening to call the cops.
Don't bother, Lou. I'm calling the police.
He's a wanted criminal, by the way. And this shit gets his attention because he bails the hell out of there, hops into the car, and speeds the hell home. And on the way, he reflects back on his relationship with that Oscar guy that they mentioned. His so-called best friend. A skilled plastic surgeon who we see in this black and white flashback when it's revealed it's actually just John Lithgow. Dr. John Lithgow to you. Yep, it was his best friend Oscar here who gave him the plastic surgery to make him look like Humphrey Bogart, since he is a wanted criminal who escaped from prison or something. Which is another callback to Humphrey Bogart's storyline in that movie Dark Passage I mentioned. He also had his face surgically altered to look like Humphrey Bogart. In this flashback, this Spinelli guy is losing his shit because his wife found out about the surgery he had to look like Bogart. And he can't figure out how, because only two people knew about it. Him and Dr. John Lithgow here, Oscar. That's when John Lithgow suggests that they just kill his wife, so they both don't have to go to prison for this shit.
Killer.
Since John Lithgow did help an escaped criminal change his appearance, so he's sort of an accomplice now.
And I'm your accomplice. If you go down, I go down.
So he's worried about covering his own ass. His beautiful John Lithgow ass. Where we get treated to another eerie CGI shot of Bogey, when he goes over and looks at himself in the mirror, and even though it's in black and white, it still doesn't look right.
I know that.
The eyes are so dead and lifeless.
I know that too.
Then back to the current flashback. Yeah, that was a flashback within a flashback. As this bogey doppelganger named Spinelli gets home finally. He heads right into his apartment, gun drawn and ready for action. Not knowing exactly what to expect here, only to find some guy just passed out on the floor. And not only is this guy just faking it, but he's also John Lithgow, his best friend Oscar, the plastic surgeon. Why the hell is he here and pointing a gun at him now? Of course, it was him. This was all a setup, and John Lithgow has been having an affair with his wife, Betty, who we finally get to see because she's here too. And it's the daughter of Ingrid Bergman herself, Isabella Rossellini. And she's dressed just as her mother was in Casablanca. As an obvious reference with that big ass hat, she's a doppelganger herself for her very own mother. There is clearly a family resemblance here, I think. Anyway, like I said, Dr. John Lithgow is having an affair with Bogart's wife here because John Lithgow is the sexiest man alive. And women can't resist him, I guess. Or it's just that sweet plastic surgeon income he probably definitely has. Now they plan on killing Humphrey Bogart and making it look like a suicide so they can run off and live happily ever after. So when his wife goes to get the car or something, Dr. John Lithgow has Bogart drink from this flask so we can get another cartoonish CGI reflection shot. But mostly so he'll drink the poison that Lithgow put in there to kill him. Which Bogey figures out cause duh, if they just shoot him it won't look much like a suicide. Depending on how they do it. But since Bogey's not going along with this, Lithgow decides to just shoot him anyway. But not before one more Bogey reference.
He's looking at you, kid.
There it is. Then huzzah! Action Bogart! A quick struggle with Lithgow and he tosses him right into a coffee table. Take that, you've been bogeyed.
And if you don't quit stalling, I'll show you some of the tricks I learned in Brooklyn.
He doesn't have the upper hand for very long though when his wife, Betty, gets back just in time to whack him in the head with a statue not once, but twice. Knocking him out, dead. White light and all, only he fades right back into his dead-ass Bogart body anyway. Apparently he's still trapped in there, only completely dead, yet completely aware of what's happening to him. As a dead corpse, who can still feel pain apparently too, yet can't react at all to it.
And I sure as hell could feel.
Yikes, sounds like torture or even hell itself. Since being dead, all he can do is just experience it, I guess. Like even he says, it doesn't make a lick of sense. But hey, like the Twilight Zone, you're sort of in another dimension with Tales from the Crypt. So just go with it. So he just watches and thinks as Lithgow and his wife try to figure out what the hell to do now since their whole suicide plan went out the window. Now that they bashed the front of his head in twice. They then decide to just bury his ass out in the woods somewhere. He'll simply go missing. Being a wanted criminal and all, no one will give a shit. So they start dragging his corpse to the door and up some steps, and boy, the sound effects they use for his head hitting each step is a bit unsettling. Sounds like a melon getting squished with each step. Gross. Then, they're surprised by someone at the door. Who the hell could this be at this hour of the night? So they shove Bogey's corpse in the closet and the door cracks open just enough so not only can we see who's at the door, but can also see another dead-eyed CGI Bogart mirror image of him stashed in the closet. And who's at the door? Why, it's that chick Erica from Bogart's ad agency job. She was concerned about Bogey because he sort of just bailed out of that meeting earlier, and she came looking for him. Oh, and that's sweet. They assure her he's not there and get her to leave just in time as the dead Bogey in the closet snaps loose, falls out of the closet, and crashes to the floor. His wife then gets right in his dead-ass face and accuses him of having an affair with that Erica chick.
You're having an affair with her.
She can just tell by the way she came over here all concerned about him. But who cares? Discount Ingrid Bergman. He's dead anyway.
You have to do the thinking for both of us.
You killed him with a statue, remember? So then Bogey gets to watch his wife make out with the far more attractive John Lithgow, every woman's dream, right before they cover his eyes with a hat. So we don't get to watch him bang. Thanks for that. I'm not ready to see John Lithgow's ass anyway. In the darkness now, Lithgow and Bogey's wife stash him into a car and drive him to wherever the hell they plan to bury him. This gives Bogey time to reflect on his relationships with more flashbacks. When he verifies to us that yup, his wife was right, he was having an affair with that Erica chick from work.
You're great in bed.
So they're both shits, really. What a lousy marriage. Yet the chick from work really seemed into him in the flashback. Whereas his wife, who, when in the bedroom in her nightgown, still wears the Ingrid Bergman hat from Casablanca for some reason, Nice though, I like that commitment, but still really hates the shit out of him.
Lousy in bed.
So back to the current flashback again as Lithgow removes the hat cause they're there. Yay, the burial site.
Rigor mortis.
And rigor mortis has set in.
Every last cell in your body goes rigid, and it hurts like hell.
Which Bogey can feel. Yeah, the pain stays with you. Sounds awful. Sorry, Bogey. I know you weren't a perfect guy, but I'm sure it would be nice to just die completely. So, thinking her plan's gonna work, Lithgow and knockoff Ingrid Bergman start digging a hole. And making jokes, too.
Starting to stiffen up.
That's more than you ever did for me.
I like that. Good one there, pre-used Ingrid Bergman. But then they're really shocked when that Erica chick suddenly shows up with a gun on them.
Hold it right there.
Only to find her love, Bogey, dead in the car. Oh, so it turns out she followed them after leaving the apartment.
I followed you.
Which his wife knew somehow.
I knew it.
Well, yeah, it's the only logical answer, really. So Erica calls the police to get these two killers arrested, only she's not too bright. And while trying to get a signal on her crappy 90s flip phone,
Can you hear me now?
gets gunned down by bargain bin Ingrid Bergman. So she's dead too, and possibly trapped inside her dead corpse forever as well. Who knows? This is CGI Bogart's story anyway. Then it turns out that the bullet that killed Erica was one of them magic bullets, like the one Lee Harvey Oswald had. Cause not only did it go through her and the car, but right into Bogey's corpse and severed his spine, causing his body to slump over and release the parking brake on the car. Which sends the car rolling towards John Lithgow and mail order Ingrid Bergman, who instead of either running to the left or right, follow the classic movie and TV rule of heading in a straight friggin' line. When we finally hear the fatal crash. We're then back to the original shot of CGI Bogey in the car mirror from the beginning of the show. So we've come full circle, folks, and this is it. Bogart's still a dead corpse, yet totally aware of his surroundings and completely paralyzed otherwise. Then when the cops and paramedics show up to clean this mess up, we see that, yup, indeed, the car crushed Lithgow in General Store brand Ingrid Bergman to death. So I wonder, are they still aware of their surroundings too? Or is this strictly a Bogart thing? Why is the afterlife always so disorganized and complicated? We will let you, the viewer, decide, as Bogey closes up his narration of the episode with very little hope for the afterlife in this case. Cause this is it.
That is no damn life. It's all a bunch of crap.
You just get to hang out in your dead body with the ability to still think, hear, and even feel pain. Yay!
Haven't I seen this guy someplace before?
Well, for him anyway. Eventually his body has to rot away, right? What then? Is he trapped in Bogey's skeleton for eternity? Again, that's for you, the viewer, to decide. Because this episode is officially over, but not without one more Bogey reference.
He's looking at you, kids.
Now it's over, as we check back in with the Crypt Keeper, who's still doing the Forrest Gump bit.
There's got to be an easier way to get an Oscar.
With CGI'd Alfred Hitchcock, who's been eaten to death by the birds. Blah! That was from one of his movies. The Birds. Oh, Crypt Keeper. Are you responsible for this, you terrifying little skeleton man, you? I still feel like Hitchcock's skeleton would be fatter. So, Crypty, how about one more pun followed by that classic Crypt Keeper laugh?
I guess he knows the pecking order now.
Thanks, Crypt Keeper. I'll show myself the way out. See you next time for another Tales from the Crypt. Which leads me into my final thoughts on this Tales from the Crypt episode. You, murderer. It will always be the first episode I think of when I think of this series. I saw it when it originally aired on January 25th, 1995. I was really excited to see these new special effects that, yeah, haven't aged as well as I hoped. But they were cool then, and the episode's still fun, if not completely nonsensical at the same time. As a fan of old movies and of Humphrey Bogart, I did get and enjoy pretty much all the references they made. And I thought it was really cool that Isabella Rossellini was totally fine with doing a parody of her own mother. I actually thought she was really good in this episode. If anything, she was the best part of this episode. She was even really funny.
You're a scum, you know that? You're cheap, insensitive, stupid, and lousy in bed.
He's starting to stiffen up.
That's more than you ever did for me.
You know what? I think I'm just gonna go ahead and say that. Isabella Rossellini is the best part of this episode. She even managed to outact dead CGI'd Humphrey Bogart. Way to go, Isabella Rossellini. Way to go. Great. You and Lithgow really held this together. As for her other credits, I only remember her from Death Becomes Her, which was also directed by Robert Zemeckis. So I guess they're friends or some shit. Maybe. As for John Lithgow, well shit. If you know movies, you know John Lithgow. From Harry and the Hendersons to more recent shit like Dexter. He was also in a Twilight Zone movie, the remake of Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, where he played the Shatner character. He was also in Cliffhanger, Footloose. He did a voice in Shrek, just to name a few. I'm not going to list off every damn John Lithgow appearance, although I would if you really wanted me to. Shit. Third Rock from the Sun. Then there's the actor Robert Saatchi. Think I'm saying that shit right? Oh well, I tried. Saatchi. Joni loves Saatchi. He was primarily known for being a Humphrey Bogart impersonator. And he did all the voice work for Bogey in this episode. He did some stand-in work, but pretty much all the face shots of Bogart were done by Industrial Light and Magic, ILM, the same company who had just previously done the effects for Forrest Gump. And in this shot where Bogey's dead body is in the closet, we can see that even though his head supposedly has been smashed in with a statue twice, there are no markings here. He looks perfectly fine.
That guy's got a pair of nipples punched in the top of his head.
Now the last actor worth mentioning would probably be John Kasser as the voice of the Crypt Keeper, who was pretty much hired on the spot when he auditioned for the role. So way to go, John Kasser. I'm pretty sure he's not squeezed into that suit. That's just a puppet. Not even that C-3PO guy could fit into that shit. And as for the house where the crypt is, in the opening title sequence, this was actually a huge model built on a miniature golf course sized set where some sort of snake camera was used to go inside the model of the house. And once you go behind the bookcase, it turns into a CGI shot of a stairway going down into the crypt. And with that, I'm going to end my first review of a Tales from the Crypt episode. So thanks again, folks, and I hope you've enjoyed my look at You, Murderer, starring Humphrey Bogart almost 40 years after he died, from Lucky's.
Lucky's taste bad, working fresh and smooth. Lucky strike.
Fuck yeah, Bogey, you go, boy. Way to cheat death.
Nobody ever loved him that much.
I'm sure he's sitting back in the afterlife right now, Bogarting Beetlejuice's cigarette. Take care, folks, and I'll see you at the theater. Bob, you gotta check this shit out. I was just taking a shit, and guess what I read here in this Leonard fucking Maltin book? This guy, I tell you. Forrest Gump. Believe this. This guy didn't like Forrest Gump. Here's what he says. 2.5 stars. Either you accept Hanks in this part and go with the movie's serio-comic, whatever, sense of whimsy, or you don't. We did. We. It says Leonard Maltin here, not Leonard Maltin and we. What? But either way, it's a long journey filled with digitized imagery that puts Forrest Gump into a wide variety of backdrops and real-life events. Blah, 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 based on and all about Winston Groom. What a dick, huh? The things he gives 4 stars to. He gave it 2.5 stars out of 4. Can you believe that? That was your Academy Award-winning masterpiece, Bob. Alright, Bob, here you go. Get ready to start gunning for Leonard Maltin. You're gonna love this shit. Operation Dumbo Drop, 1995, a year after Forrest Gump. 2.5 stars, just like Forrest Gump. Operation Dumbo Drop is just as good as Forrest Gump, according to Leonard Maltin. Let's go kill that bastard, shall we?